Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is my feature author, the month of April, award-winning and best-selling author, no other than Miss Shilo Creed.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on today.
Welcome, Miss Shilo, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. I started writing in my early 20s. I never planned to be a writer. I just wanted to read great books, but there was always that book that I couldn't find. So I decided that I would write it, and I self-published it, and it became invisible on Amazon with 33 million other books. And I said, well, that was fun. I'm going to go on and do other things. And that was not what ended up happening. I've written 42 novels so far under multiple pen names. I wrote for 10 years, book after book after book, without selling a single copy. I was very committed to growing into the writer I needed to be, and had a major breakthrough, and has been such an amazing journey. I've sold over 1.4 million books so far under multiple pen names. So that is kind of my writing story. That is why I write, in order to encourage and bless people.
Well, indeed, Ms. Shiloh here on Book 101 Review. We salute you. We celebrate you. Certainly. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for my being feature author of the month of April. And let's talk about being you, being a best-selling and award-winning author. You've written 42 novels, as you said, under multiple pen names and sold over 1.4 million books. That's an extraordinary level of output. How do you actually do it? What does your daily writing routine look like that always or allow you to produce the many books while maintaining quality and winning awards?
It is a daily input. That's what's really important, I think, is consistency. It's not to say that I write every single day, although I do have that as a goal. I'm a homeschool mom, so that's my first priority. Books come second. And it has been a really cool journey to have the times when writing flowed. It was like, just give me more minutes to write this book. And then there were times also where it was work. I had to just go to work and get the words on the page. And as we grow in any skill, I think we come to that point where there's a balance between creativity and determination. So I would encourage anybody who is writing a book to sit in the chair, do the work, even on days that it doesn't feel exciting to you.
Well, congratulations, Miss Shiloh. 7-time award-winning author, best-selling across multiple pen names, and you also host a podcast. What drives you to keep creating at this space, and what was the journey from your first book to book number 42, taught you about the craft of writing that no one could have told you at the beginning?
Oh, it has been a very long journey. I think there was 1 year in there where I wrote 13 books within that year, but that is definitely not a normal. I think 5 to 6 is my usual pace, and it's a very comfortable pace. So coming through writing that many books, I really honestly believe that all of them were practice for me to be ready to write Plunged. That book it's really my heart book. It's my baby out of all of them. And it's really my story, because when I was 32 years old, I had a major heart condition that came on very suddenly, and I was divinely healed from that. And so Plunged is really, it's the story of a Navy SEAL, and he gets, thrown by this military experiment into the spiritual side of our world, where he discovers that he isn't as strong and capable as he thought he was. So that really is my story, entwined in this amazing sci-fi adventure. And that is why I write. It's to encourage other people. It's to make sure that readers finish any book that I write with an uplifted feeling of hope.
A feeling of hope, definitely. And Miss Shiloh, you write across multiple pen names. And when you use pen names instead of publishing everything under one name, how do you decide which pen name gets which story? And how do you manage the marketing and audience expectation for each one without burning out?
Well, my plan was definitely to use one name in the beginning. And then I signed a contract with a publisher, which really dedicated that name to that set of books. And I realized that I wasn't really at liberty to use that name anymore for other books that I wanted to write, which forced me into more pen names. And I also, at the same time, was getting reviews from people because I write really wide. I like a lot of different genres. I was getting reviews from people saying, well, I really liked this book over here, but I don't usually read medieval action adventure. So I was surprised to get this book from you. So I decided, it might be easier for readers to have things kind of more separated out. So under Elysian Hunt, I write a clean rom com series that keeps people laughing. Under Quinn Knightley, I write medieval action adventure. So it is a lot to handle. The marketing, especially, is a lot more difficult because you're spread out. I have 4 websites. I have my own publishing company to handle all of that. So it definitely makes it more difficult in some ways. But I feel like for readers, they get what they expect for each pen name. So it was really more like creating a character. By that time, I had been creating characters for years. So it was kind of fun to create more characters for myself to play and to really be able to dive into each genre and each voice kind of in its own way.
Well done. Well done, Miss Shiloh. What does your first draft process look like? Are you an outliner who knows every beat before you write, or a discovery writer who finds the story along the way? And has the process changed from book one to book 42?
The process has absolutely changed. Book one was very much discovery. I had no idea what was going to happen. But by the time I reached book 3 or 4, I discovered that if I wanted speed, if I wanted to be able to produce books at a good rate, I needed to know where they were going. And so I am a light outliner. I very rarely have more than a sketch of what a chapter is going to do, but that definitely helps keep me on track. And that being said, characters are surprising. They sometimes do
Hmm.
stuff that I didn't expect. So I am not the kind of writer who won't allow my characters to do something that I didn't plan in my story. And if something new comes up, I kind of really have fun exploring that thread.
With 1.4 million books sold, you clearly know how to connect with readers. What was the most important thing you've learned about what readers actually want, not what writers think they want, and how has that shaped the story you choose to tell?
Well, when I write my middle grade fiction as C.R. Fulton, there are so many rules. Middle grade is really different in that you have a specific length that the book really needs to hit. You also have limitations that your characters bump up against. They're not old enough to drive a car yet. They need supervision. They can't just be out anywhere they want to be without supervision. So that set of rules around me really helped me develop characters in a more believable way because I realized that my audience has certain expectations that I have to meet. And I think every writer starts out thinking everyone will love my book. And that's simply not true. So we really can do much better as authors if we write to market. If you understand who your reader is, then you can give them what they want with a new flavor of your own put on top of it. And that is when you find success.
Indeed. So you won 7 awards. Which award meant the most to you personally? That was it for a book you expected to be recognized, or a surprise that comes something you almost did not publish?
Ooh, that's a good question. The very first award I ever won was a complete surprise. I had actually forgotten that I had put the book in for the award. It was the first book I ever wrote, which is now called Archer by Quinn Knightley. And that was really amazing. I remember standing in the post office because we don't have a mailbox where we live. So I went into the post office and I, what is this? Opened it up and almost had tears come to my eyes because it was just such a phenomenal experience for that to win a gold medal. Uh, but I think book three in Essentially Sweet Romance, which is by Elysian Hunt, when that book won with the Next Generation Indies in the Chicklet Award, that was so fun because that's a book that even after 17 or 18 rounds of editing, I can still go back and read that book and be completely in the world. I can be like completely absorbed by that book. So for that one to win was really meaningful to me.
Hmm. Well said, Miss Shiloh. You write under multiple pen names, as we talk about. Are those different genres, different audiences, or different tones? How do you keep the voices distinct in your head? And have you ever almost sent the wrong manuscript to wrong publisher?
Yes, I have definitely almost sent the wrong files. Very easy to do. And they are completely different across the board. The voice is different, the tone is different, the genre, all of the things are different. But like I said earlier, really hope is what I want to bring my readers. I want them to be able to escape into a place that they don't want to ever end, into a world where they feel uh, drawn in and like they absolutely can't leave. And there's no greater compliment than when somebody says, "I simply could not put your book down." And so that's really the exciting thing about writing cross genre is that I get to stay sharp. I get to come in when I'm, going to be working on the third book for Plunged, Pursued, and Persuaded. That trilogy, I'll get to dive back into a really technical, scientific, quantum physics sort of character and go really deep into action scenes and fight scenes and you know I love quantum physics. And then I can jump over to my rom-com series and have an absolute blast with a clean romance. So it's super fun and engaging as an author to get to kind of visit all these different worlds.
Super fun, definitely. Do your pen names know about each other? In other words, do you ever cross promote?
I love the way you said that. Do my pen names even know about each other? Yes, they do. I generally don't put it out like at the very beginning of a newsletter or it's not at the top of my website, but it is kind of one of those Easter egg sort of things where I'm like, hey, if you want to find out what else I write and you're an adventurous reader, then come check out what else I have. And some people are really happy reading the genre that they love. And those people are not going to follow me, over to a different genre. And I'm okay with that. So yes, they definitely know each other.
Certainly. So, if a new author is considering using a pen name, Miss Shiloh, what advice would you give to them about when is the worth it and when is just unnecessary complication?
It is a lot of complication. Absolutely, hands down, a lot of complication. If you're ready for two times the work, two times the marketing, everything that goes with having a pen name, and you have a good reason to do so, like your genres are that different, uh, go and do it. Absolutely. But if you're kind of close, if your work is close to each other and you can make it work to stay under one, I definitely feel like you would have a lot more oomph behind you. Things would go easier for you because the more books that you have under one pen name, definitely the easier it is to get those moving in sales.
Mm, certainly. And you are a best-selling author. What does a best-selling actually mean today in a publishing world? Category bestseller or
Oh,
overall bestseller or Amazon chart or USA Today.
yes. It's a directed push in your sales and marketing. It
Oh, yeah.
definitely takes some planning, and the algorithms really like to see a steady uptick in sales. And a lot of us are able to generate a day or two of really good sales, and then things fall off. But if during your launch week you can come out the gate strong, but then your sales get stronger as you go through the week, that means a lot. And if you reach that point, Amazon will then pick up the marketing, or they'll kind of push your book along and help you instead of hindering you. So that is a super awesome place to reach, and you can see it happen in your numbers on the back end. You can know when it's like, oh, Amazon, right there, Amazon decided that this book is something that people want to read. It's really exciting to see your book in like the most wished for little tab, or some things like that are just cool as an author. So it's worth putting that work and effort in, and it's worth learning that marketing side so that you can create income as well as more work for yourself.
Certainly. So, what is the relationship between awards and sales in your experience? Do awards actually move the needle for readers, or are they more meaningfully for authors, confidence and credibility, and industry gatekeepers?
I absolutely have not seen a bump in sales from an award. Even some of the major awards that I've won have not moved the needle as far as sales go. And that was definitely a shock to me the first few times it happened. With more recent awards, I was expecting things to stay pretty much the same, and they did. That being said, I think every author should be working toward earning some awards. Once you have those under your belt, it's that street cred that you really need in today's world with so many people putting out books. You need to be able to differentiate yourself. And when you have that social proof of book awards, it can really help open doors and get you the ear of people that you need to be talking to, or that you would love to rub shoulders with. So, absolutely, hands down, I would work toward getting awards. It's definitely something that serious authors need to do.
It's worth it. Definitely. Looking back to your career, Ms. Shiloh, what was the single inflection point, the moment decision that most directly led to you becoming a 1.4 million book selling author? What is a specific book, a marketing strategy, or platform shift, or something else?
Well, I can remember that very clearly. I had been working with an editor, and for many years, I had worked with this wonderful woman, and I just felt like I needed to call her. I don't ever call her unless I have a book to give her, and I didn't at the moment, but I just knew like I needed to reach out to her. So I did, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you called. I need to connect you with someone who sells books." And he was actually looking for someone to write a series. And he knew exactly what he wanted, the direction that he wanted it to go. And I was so blessed to get to write that series. And he is a marketing expert. So he knew how to do the marketing end of things. And that really taught me to have the confidence in my books. It it opened my eyes to what's possible. And man, the sky is the limit from then on. Once you see it, once you understand the possibilities that are there as an author, and you get a taste of it, then you know, like, this is something that I can work toward and grow in, and it's worth investing in my own knowledge of marketing. It's worth investing in my books in order to get them out into the world.
Certainly, yes. Ms. Shiloh, your novel plunges in Christian sci-fi and Navy SEAL force into another realm where human strength fails. How did your healing journey specifically shape the premise? What about your experience made you reach for science fiction rather than a more realistic or contemporary genre?
I had actually been planning Plunged for years. Most novels come to me fairly quickly, and I get them written and out within a couple of months. But Plunged was different. It was something that I know that the Lord was really leading me into. And as I was thinking on it and would kind of shape out a scene in my head, I knew that the character had to travel into the spiritual side of our world, and he had to see himself as he truly was. without his body and realize how weak he was and have that desperate need to be strong in both places. So I knew that that was going to be his journey, and I couldn't quite get the setting right for the physical side of the book when he's just a man who he is. And my husband one day was like, well, what about the Philadelphia Project? Remember that? And now it's a conspiracy theory. But when I was a teenager, you could get books at the library about the Philadelphia experiment. And that was a Navy experiment where they actually made a ship that was named the USS Eldridge disappear. And it reappeared miles in the distance. And when it came back, there were crew members actually fused to the ship as if they had been walking through the walls when the ship resolidified. So the Philadelphia Project is a huge inspiration for the opening of Plunged. Most of the book takes place on the ship, and it's a super fun setting because it's so tight, and the setting itself adds that suspense because that it's going to be very difficult for the characters to survive or to get away from that ship.
Let's talk about your podcasting. Ms. Shiloh, you host the Author Minds podcast. How does interviewing other authors from your own writing practice, what is the most surprising thing you learn from a guest about craft, career, and creativity that you've eventually applied your own work?
I really think the most surprising thing after interviewing, I think 40 authors now, has been how many of them began writing later on in life. They began writing when they were 55, 65, and they have a lot of books out. It's phenomenal. And it's given me encouragement that, I'm 43 right now. So I feel like, oh, wow, I have so many more books to write. If somebody who started when they were 65 years old has 20 books out, what can I do by the time I reach there? So getting to connect with other authors has been amazing because that's part of the reason that I started the podcast, because authorship is very much a lonely island. You're hanging out with imaginary characters, you're, at your computer doing your work, and we don't really connect with other authors very often. And I realized I only knew 2 authors total. I thought I have to fix that. So it's been really good to get to connect with other people who do what I do.
Well said, Ms. Shiloh. And to wrap up our discussion for today, what's the most common mistake you see a new authors make, not in their writing, but in their career management, that you wish you could save them from? And what's the mistake you made yourself that taught you the most expensive lesson?
Mm, I think that most authors struggle with confidence. In that I've seen that come up over and over again is that writers are not confident in what they've written. And the brutal truth is your writing is not for everyone. But when you find your people, and they do exist, they will love your writing. So we really need to have that confidence to just grow our skill, change, and yet also be content that the work that we've put out is meaningful. And I think the most costly mistake that I have made is probably actually speed. I tend to move a little bit too fast. So I need to slow down where maybe some people need to speed up. I need to slow down and really enjoy each book that I write and not be pushed through it by time.
Well said, Ms. Shiloh. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Book 101 Review?
Of course, I would love to invite listeners to join me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called Shilo Creed, How to Christian, and I cover just basic spiritual principles that maybe people are missing. So I would love to connect with listeners there. They can also find me on my website at shilocreed.com. And if you sign up for my newsletter, it's a very occasional newsletter. I would absolutely love to be able to keep up with you on email and get to know everyone there. And of course, you can find Plunged and Pursued out pretty much anywhere the books are sold in ebook, audiobook, print and hardcover.
Well said, Miss Shiloh. And before I will let you go, I have one more question. If you could go back and give a pre-first book self one piece of advice about craft, about business, about mindset, or about anything else, what would it be? And would your younger self have listened?
No, my younger self would not have listened. And something that I've really come to know about myself recently is how much current success means to me. My husband said to me the other day, he said, like, don't you realize like everything that you've been able to accomplish? And I said, no, like it doesn't really mean that much to me except for what's happening right now. So that's something that I'm working on, is becoming more grateful for what has already happened. And that's something I have to work on, is really being mindful of all the blessings that I've received, and not be rushed. I think I tend to run into the future, and I need to just walk along and enjoy the journey.
Yes, enjoy the journey, people. My feature author of the month of April, award winning and best selling author, Miss Shilo Creed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon. Okay, Miss